16 goals from him this season. Reggie Blinker back on the first team scene after slipping to the edges. Henrik Larson, what a player he's been.
In the summer of 1997, Celtic were desperate. Rangers were strong favourites to win a record-breaking 10th consecutive league title and spent heavily to add to an already well-oiled team filled with experience and talent. Adding to the likes of Brian Laudrup, Paul Gascoigne and Ali McCoist, they brought in 4 players from Serie A in the form of Gennaro Gattuso, Lorenzo Amoruso, Sergio Perini and Marco Negri, amongst others. How would Celtic respond? Just a reminder that you can help support the channel by subscribing on Patreon, where I will be uploading exclusive content. That's patreon.com/another one from Paul. The year before, Celtic had an amazing attacking trio known as the Three Amigos, Pierre Van Hooijdonk, Paolo Di Canio and George Cadete. They contributed an astonishing 64 goals between them that season, but by the end of the summer of 1997, all 3 had left the club. To make things worse, club captain and icon Paul McStay was forced to retire due to ankle injuries, aged just 32. Club chairman Fergus McCann appointed Jock Brown to the role of general manager and Dutchman Wim Jansen as head coach.
In July 1997, Celtic began a revolution when they appointed Dutch legend Wim Jansen as their head coach. For the fans, it ended the usual wave of speculation of who was to fill the new role.
They needed to act fast. They were inheriting a small squad vastly inferior to the one over at Ibrox. The first signing in the door came in the form of Darren Jackson, arriving in a £1.25 million move from Hibs. He wasn't a particularly exciting or clamoured after signature. Indeed, Celtic fan magazine Not The View published a tongue-in-cheek apology regarding comments they had made about Jackson in previous years, which stated Jackson was a player whose arrogance on the pitch was in inverse proportion to his actual talent, a man universally despised by all except Hibs fans. He was always just going to be a squad player, but he came in with the right attitude and desperately wanted to stop Rangers from winning the title. Jackson would make 31 appearances throughout the season, largely off the bench, scoring 6 goals.
And watch Darren Jackson apply the finish. Celebrations all round, and Jackson confirming that he's back in business and ready to face the challenge of Harold Bratback's arrival later this week. A standing ovation as he was substituted by Simon Donnelly, and the striker savouring every moment.
Somebody just had a strike and I thought I would follow it in. Obviously very surprised Jim's let it go. It didn't like Jim, but thankfully it fell to me. I rounded him and scored, and I got a bit carried away. As soon as I go in that park I have no excuses. I knew I was going to be okay. I'm better now than I was before, so there was only an excuse for me, but I'm fine. I'll go and challenge. I'll win some, I'll not win some.
Next up came a pair of signings announced on the same day. Scotland international Craig Burley joined in a £2.5 million move from Chelsea. In truth, at the time this was another signing that did little to spark excitement amongst the Celtic support, and he certainly didn't seem up to the challenge of replacing the beloved Paul McStay. However, Craig Burley would go on to have a tremendous campaign, quickly solidifying himself as a regular starter in the centre of midfield, netting 15 goals in 35 appearances. His performances were so strong, he'd win the Scottish Football Writers Association Footballer of the Year award at the end of the season, and became, temporarily, a major fan favourite of the Celtic support. Without Craig Burley, it's highly unlikely Celtic win the 1998 title, and despite falling out of favour at Parkhead due to an unhappy departure and subsequent perceived anti-Celtic agenda in his media roles over the years, it's important to remember how crucial he was in the 97-98 season.
It's a good run this from Reggie Blinker, and a good ball in! That's number 3, and it's Craig Burley! The match winner in the semi-finals.
As mentioned, on the same day Burley arrived, another transfer was confirmed. a player who'd made headlines for his impressive performances in the 1994 World Cup for Sweden, but had struggled at Feyenoord. That man was, of course, Henrik Larson. Without a doubt, Celtic's greatest player in modern history. Henrik arrived for a fee of just £650,000 from Feyenoord, though it must be noted, this was not some agreed-upon bargain transfer. Jansson was aware of a clause in Larsson's contract with the Dutch club that could allow him to leave for a £650,000 fee. A legal dispute then ensued over this clause, which Larsson thankfully won, and that allowed him to sign for Celtic. I'm not going to go over Henrik's entire Celtic career in this video, but older fans will remember Henrik didn't hit the ground running at Celtic. In his debut away to Hibs in the opening league game of the season, Henrik gave the ball away to Chick Charnley to concede a goal in a shock 2-1 defeat. Things soon turned around, and Henrik quickly became a key player up front. At first alongside Simon Donnelly, who also deserves a lot of credit for helping Henrik to settle and helping the new Celtic side to gel during the tough early months of the season. Henrik would make 46 appearances throughout the campaign, scoring 19 goals, including a goal in a 3-0 League Cup final win over Dundee United, and an amazing long-range effort on the final day of the season at home to St Johnstone, which helped seal the title for Celtic. Henrik Larsson's move to Celtic in July 1997 will perhaps always be remembered as the greatest transfer in the history of the club. Shortly afterwards, Celtic announced the signing of French left-back Stefan Mah in a £500,000 move from Rennes. Mah came through at Auxerre, where he earned a reputation as a talented attacking fullback who perhaps lacked defensive qualities. However, in the 2 years prior to his move to Glasgow, he struggled during spells at PSG and Rennes. But Mah settled quickly at Celtic and impressed all season while displaying both attacking prowess and tough tackling, but most importantly, he was consistently solid from start to finish during his 35 appearances. Next up came a signing that was almost the very definition of unspectacular. Jonathan Gould was brought in from Bradford City on a free transfer. An English lower league journeyman, Gould was initially seen as an emergency backup between the sticks. Goalkeepers Gordon Marshall and Stuart Kerr had firmly fallen out of favour, so Gould was given a chance in nets, and impressed enough as time went on that he made the #1 jersey his own, even soon earning a call-up to the Scotland squad. Gould was never a world beater, but again, he was consistently solid and played his role in helping stop the 10. Gould would make 48 appearances during the season, keeping 24 clean sheets along the way. Check out my Paolo Di Canio video for more details on the next incoming player, but to quickly summarise, Reggie Blinker infamously arrived in August 1997 from Sheffield Wednesday in what Craig Brown dubbed a trade deal for Di Canio. Now, Blinker was a Dutch international and over the years has perhaps been unfairly criticised and even mocked as a player. At this time, Blinker was a solid left winger with pace and skill, and though the rest of his Celtic career would largely be a disappointment, he had a decent campaign in 97-98. Making 21 appearances, getting plenty of assists and scoring 2 goals. And the final early season signing was one of the most important of all. MarkReaper arrived from West Ham in early September for a £1.5 million fee. The Danish centre-back would go on to be a rock at the heart of the Celtic defence all year. In the previous 2 seasons, Celtic were spectacular up front at times, but sorely weak and vulnerable at the back. Reaper brought in stability and reliability at centre-half and was the best player Celtic had found in that role for years. He formed a reliable partnership with Alan Stubbs, and Reaper deserved as much credit as anyone for Celtic's title triumph at the end of the season. He made 29 appearances throughout the campaign, and fans hoped he'd be a key figure for years to come. but an injury early in the next season meant he'd tragically barely play for the club again and had to retire early from the game.
Good one too. He's got some time to have a look here. And there's the opening goal! It's MarkReaper!
Later in the season, Celtic would also move to complete the signings of Paul Lambert and Harold Bratback, both of whom would also play important roles in helping Celtic stop the 10. However, these early season signings came in early and gelled fast to pull off one of the biggest and fastest turnarounds in Scottish football history as Celtic went on to win the 1998 Scottish League title.
Acceptance as Tom Boyd accepts the League Championship trophy.